Hello everyone, this is Koba-sensei from ITeens Lab. This is the 13th video in our series explaining how to use Unity. This time, we're going to make a program where, when you press the space key, a ball is fired. Once you can do this, I think you'll be able to make something like a shooting game. Alright, let's get started. This time, we're going to make a project where pressing the space key fires a ball. Right now, my screen is showing the continuation of the previous project. While we're at it, I'll also show you how to open a new project. So, up here at the top, go to File and click on New Project. When you do that, you'll come to a screen like this to create a new project. Since we're going to be firing a ball this time, let's call it Shoot. It's kind of like a shooting game. Let's go ahead and create it. Alright, now a new project has been launched. In this case, it means that another project will be running separately from the one we made earlier, so it might put a bit of a load on your computer specs. So, if you have any projects you don't need open, go ahead and quit them. Let's close out anything unnecessary. Okay. And when you try to close it, you'll be asked, do you want to save? So, as a general rule, make sure to save before you exit. Now let's start something new from here. So, I'd like to create a program where pressing the space key will fire a ball. First, let's think a bit about how we're going to make this. Alright, first, let's create a cube. This will be the object that fires the ball. Then, right-click and create another 3D object, this time a sphere. Okay. The sphere will be the one that gets fired, the ball itself. That's how I'd like to set it up. Now, it's about time we start thinking about what to name these objects. So, since it's still named sphere, let's go ahead and change that. Make it like a ball. Basically, when naming these objects, it's considered best practice to capitalize the first letter, so let's stick to that. Now, for the cube. We'll name it Player. When you press the space key, I want to create a program where the sphere, or ball, is launched from the player. So first, let's figure out how to do that by creating the movement for the ball. Basically, we'll start by making a simple movement where the ball just shoots straight forward. Alright, let's give it a try. We'll do this with a C# script. We're going to create a ball movement, so let's create a name for it, Kokodama. Then, double-click it. Alright, when you do that, here it is. The script for the ball is now ready in Visual Studio. As for the ball, it just needs to fly forward, so it's actually pretty simple. Do you all remember? Transform.translate. With Victor Schreed. Forward. Alright, for now, this should be fine. With this, the ball is able to fly forward. Now, save it. Attach this ball script. Now, let's try playing it. This is it. The bullets flew. With this, we've created the effect of it flying forward. Next, we're going to set it up so that this object is launched from the cube. So, in order to do that, the first thing we need to do is make this ball into a prefab. Let's try it out. We'll make it a prefab by dragging and dropping it. This is the same thing we did last time. So, we've turned this ball into a prefab. That means we can keep creating clones of it as much as we want. From now on, every time we press the fire button, a new clone will be created and launched. So, for now, we'll just make this into a prefab. Now then, let's move on to the launching side. We'll create a script for the player side. We'll create a C# script and name it Player. Then, we'll double-click it. Alright. Now, an empty player script has appeared. So, what we're going to do today is, I'll explain this in more detail later, but it's called instantiate. This is pronounced instantiate. So, this is to generate a clone. That's the command. We'll go over this more thoroughly later, so for now, first, we need to create what kind of clone we want to generate. To do that, there are a few things we need to do. First, we write GameObject and then something like ball. And then, we make this public. Right here, we declare it as public GameObject ball, like this. A container to hold the GameObject. We create the ball, and also, we make it so that we can adjust it from the inspector. That's what making it public does. For now, let's save it as is. Then, we attach the completed player script to the player like this. Now, let's actually take a look at the script. Since we've made the variable public in the script attached to the player, you can see it here. There's this ball variable. Here, you drag and drop the prefab we made earlier into this slot. Just like this, you assign the ball prefab to the player's script here. Alright, once you've gotten this far, let's go ahead and delete the ball that's currently on the screen. Right here. Now, the only thing left on the screen is the player, and the player has this player's script attached. In the public variable of that player script, there's a ball slot, and we've registered the ball as a prefab there. That's the state we've reached so far. Alright, so with this setup, you have a slot to put a GameObject, in this case, the ball. From the inspector, you can drag and drop this prefab GameObject into that slot. Now we've created a program like this. So now that we've gotten this far, let's actually write the code to spawn the ball. For this test, I'm going to write it in the void start method first. Instantiate cool ball. And then transform.position, comma. Quaternion.identity, that's how you write it. Once you've written this, save it once. Okay, now let's run it. And just like that, the ball was launched. If you look here, you'll see that ball, clone, appears in the hierarchy. Let me run it one more time. Okay, running it again. And now, the ball appears here and actually flies off. Alright, with this, we've written the line of code that launches the ball prefab we registered. Let's take a closer look at what this code is actually doing. The instantiate function is what creates the object. It's a program that creates, or spawns, an object. The first argument specifies what to create, in this case, it's this ball. The second argument determines where to create it, meaning the location where the ball will appear. This is transform.position, which means the current position, basically, the player's position. So, the ball will be created at the same spot as the player's current position. The third argument is the orientation when spawning the object. Here, quaternion.identity means there's no special rotation applied, it just uses the default orientation. So, what's written here is, instantiate create an object. What are we creating? This ball. So, where do we spawn it? At transform.position. And what about the rotation? We're fine leaving it as is, with no changes. That's basically what this program does. This is actually a key point. Inside the instantiate function, you see these commas, they act as separators. Separated by commas, you have the sphere, plus transform.position, and quaternion.identity. Please pay attention to the fact that these three elements are included inside the instantiate function. So, the first one is what happens. And the second one is the location where you want to spawn it. The direction in which the effect occurs. It looks something like this. Please make sure to remember this well. Now, next, I want to set it up so that when the space key is pressed, this thing will be fired. As for detecting when the space key is pressed, I think you all remember doing something similar when we made the character jump, so I'll go through this part quickly. If input dot get key down, and then you write it like this, key code is space. So this component receives the input from the user, and then, whenever a button is pressed, it carefully checks to see if the key code that was received is specifically the space key. Okay, so at that moment, let's make it so that the ball is generated. Let's take this part, cut it, and paste it here. With this part checks if the space key is pressed. When the space key is pressed, a ball is generated. And this ball, according to its script, will automatically fly off. Alright, let's actually run it and see what happens. Now, when you press the space key, you can keep firing balls like this. That's how it works. So, what we covered this time was, first, creating the ball that flies off and turning it into a prefab. Then, registering that flying prefab as a bullet and using the registered one. We wrote a program so that it spawns when the space key is pressed. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you very much. Alright, great job everyone. So, how did you find today's content? Firing these projectiles really gets you pumped up, doesn't it? It's starting to feel a lot more like a real game and getting more fun. For everyone who's made it this far, I think you're probably getting used to writing code by now. Next time, we'll be making a program where you shoot these projectiles and defeat the enemies they hit. Sounds exciting, right? So, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.